What's up, everybody? Good afternoon. And I know we're all getting geared up for this national championship game. I know we're all excited to see how the college football season ends. But it is Monday, so we are going to do our final snap count Monday of the season. And once we push this out, then we're in college football mode until tonight. Okay, so final snap count Monday of the season means we're also going to kind of do an overall end of year summary as well as just what happened in the most recent game. So, first of all, starting with the offense, 1,051 total snaps, which is not very good. And we'll see exactly how not very good that is in a few minutes. But 1,051 snaps on offense across 17 games, you want to do better than that. You definitely want to do better than that. And you can see why this happened. We had a game where we had 51 snaps, 49 snaps. We had a 49 snap game a week ago against the Steelers. You have a couple games that are kind of sort of okay, like the 55 snap game, the 56 snap game, but it's still not where you want it to be. And it just catches up to you because you're not having very many games that get to where you want them to get to, like this 81 snap game. That's good. 81 snaps is nice, but you got to replicate that a few times. Even in yesterday's game, 55 snaps in a game where the offense played kind of sort of okay. I'm not hating on them totally, but 55 snaps usually does not pave the way for a good offensive performance. So that's to start us off. Running backs, we had 27 snaps for K9 and 29 for Zach Charbonnet. So, because we were in passing downs a lot due to the circumstances we found ourselves in that game, especially late, we had Charbonnet out there a lot because he's our pass catching back and I think, probably our better blocking back as well. At least that's how we perceive him. And I think he did pretty good in that role yesterday, so that's good. And you can actually see that the split of running back snaps was very close to even. Walker, 502 snaps on the season, Charbonnet, 478. So neither guy broke 50%, which I like. I'm not against that. Now, part of the reason why this happened is that Walker basically missed 3 games with an injury, and Charbonnet only missed 1 game with an injury. But Charbonnet also had several games where he barely played early in the season, like 12 snaps, 19, 13, 18. So it kind of evened out, and by the end of the year, we actually had a pretty good 1-2 going, which, I mean, I like it. I like it. No objection here with it. I don't know if the way in which we got there was exactly what we had in mind, but I like the idea of not overloading anyone back and keeping both of them around about 500 snaps. Nothing from DJ Dallas in this game or any other running back for that matter. So you can see that DJ got about 100 snaps in the backfield this year, which, I mean, he's probably going to be replaced this offseason, and we can probably replace him in-house with McIntosh. McIntosh can definitely take on more than 96 snaps over the course of a season. So, should be pretty easy to just sub in McIntosh for Dallas next year, and then probably bring in another running back at some point to be your fourth guy. Okay, so that's your running back. Overall, I think we did pretty well here, given what we had to work with. Wide receivers now. Wide receivers, DK Metcalf 46 snaps, Lockett 43, JSN 36, Bobo 14, Derek Young 4. Makes sense. Pretty solid, pretty reasonable. And it lands us in a place that I'm in pretty good agreement with at the end of the season. DK Metcalf on the field for 831 snaps, Lockett on the field for 838 snaps. So basically, they were both on the field for 79 to 80% of the snaps. Almost identical. Almost identical. And DK would have had over 80% if he didn't miss the Cardinals game in I think it was week 6. So, or game 6. I think it was actually week 7 at that point. But yeah, that seems about right to me. This team likes to do creative things with their tight ends from time to time. They like to line up in these one receiver sets every now and then. So you're not going to have a receiver out there for 99% of the snaps or anything like that. And DK cycling in and out of the injured list forced us to be a little more flexible with his snaps. So I think we're headed in the right direction overall. 64% of the snaps for JSN probably needs to go up in 2024. Lockett probably needs to go down. Lockett probably needs to downshift a little bit to where he's on the field for maybe 65 to 70% of the snaps so we can get the most out of him. There was a moment in yesterday's game where after he made a long catch, he came out of the game for a few plays and was like sucking oxygen, and I thought that kind of encapsulates it. He can still be a good, valuable player, but you need to pull him back a little bit so he's not out there constantly. Bobo ends up playing just over 300 snaps, about 29%. Real nice rookie season for him. He did some nice things. We'll talk more about him later, but very, very bright future for the new wide receiver 4. And this could go even beyond what we were imagining when we saw him play well in the preseason before the year started. And Derek Young had 9 snaps, so less than 1%. Cody Thompson, 23, 2%. D. Eskridge, less than 2%, 18 snaps. Almost all of them came in one game. That's about it for the wide receivers. Makes sense. Not against any of this necessarily. Let's move on to the Seahawks tight ends. Noah Fant played 8 snaps and then got hurt. Couldn't come back. So Dissly got about the same number of snaps he usually gets, 20. Probably would have gotten a little bit less if Fant didn't get hurt. But the real guy who got a lot of action out there because of the injury was Parkinson with 43. And then Brady Russell got 5 snaps. So you look at the splits over the course of the season. Fant plays the most, which makes sense. I know we didn't use him great, but he was in a contract year, and he is your most talented tight end. You've got Colby Parkinson playing just about 500 snaps, which makes sense because he's coming along here. Good player. Dissly, 381 snaps, about 36% of the total number of snaps, which I feel like his body just kind of broke down this year, and he just couldn't take on a big workload, which is why we cut his load so much to where he would sometimes play like a quarter of the game. And I'm happy he had a good game yesterday because it might be his last game as a Seahawk, but this is not worth the money we're paying him. 381 snaps, 36% of the snaps is not worth the money we're paying him. But I don't hate the way we balanced our tight end snaps this year. And that gets us to the offensive line, which pretty simple this week. Cross, Lewis, Brown, and Forsyth played every snap. Bradford played every snap except for 5, and Curhan came in and replaced him on those 5 snaps. So, in totality, Charles Cross plays about 80% of the season. Damian Lewis plays about 89% of the season. Evan Brown plays 91% of the season. Phil Haynes plays 42% of the season. Abe Lucas, 26%. Stone Forsyth, 48%. Oluwatimi, 12.5% approximately. Curhan gets 28%. Bradford, 63%. Jason Peters, 21%. And then a tiny little bit goes to Ben Brown here, less than 1%. So it's obviously, if you just look at the percentages, it doesn't look that bad. But the little dings that we took on the offensive line throughout the year really added up. We had no offensive linemen play over 92% of the snaps. Everybody at least spent a little bit of time on the injured list, missing snaps, missing games. And some of the guys who did basically play the whole season didn't play well. Evan Brown did not play well. Damian Lewis did not play well. And I think those guys may have been playing through injuries. I do think there's a little bit of trying to tough it out through minor injuries going on here with guys like Brown and Lewis and Haynes and Bradford and Cross, and that didn't help either. But I don't know about most teams, but there are teams out there that get about 100% of their snaps from their key guys on the offensive line. So yeah, this is a genesis of the problem with this team. All right, so now we go over to the defense, and boom, right then and there we have our problem. Almost 1,200 snaps on defense. So basically, our defense played about 2 extra games per this year compared to the offense. So the defense doesn't get off the field, the offense doesn't stay on the field. This is what you get. You get a defense that is probably just exhausted at this point. So, yeah, right then and there, we're off to a bad start. 70 snaps in this game on defense. Not good. This was a tough one because no Jaron Reed and also no Mario Edwards. So, Draymond Jones played almost every snap, 59. Cameron Young had to play a massive load, 37 snaps. Miles Adams got 12 snaps, which is not his season high, but it's his highest in several months. Leonard Williams, 58 snaps. which was close to his season high. And we finally saw a little bit of Austin Folu, 15 snaps. So we had to really mix and match here. It was not easy. We got through it, but we had to give up another 200 rushing yards in the process. So you look at the way things panned out for us this season with the defensive line rotation, if you can even call it that. Draymond Jones plays about 74%. Jaron Reed plays 64% and 68%. Reed would have played about 70% or more if he had not missed the final game. Mario Edwards plays like a third. Cam Young plays about 17%. We got to balance this stuff out, right? We got to, if we're going to bring Jaron Reed back next year and we're going to bring back guys like Draymond next year, we need to get them down around 60%. Same with Leonard Williams. We got to find guys who can play competently enough for us to get those rotations in. Like, none of these players should be having as high a percentage as they had this year in our top three, except maybe Leonard Williams. Maybe Leonard Williams should be getting a vast majority of the snaps because he is that good. But this kind of got messy this year. Let's put it that way. We can do better. We need a better rotation on the defensive line, period. Linebacker, Bobby Wagner plays every snap. Brooks and Bush basically split the other half. Nick Bellore gets one snap. And there you have it. Bobby Wagner plays basically every snap this year. He misses all of 19 snaps the whole season, less than 1.5%. So that's a problem. Jordan Brooks comes back from a devastating injury to play over 2/3 of the snaps. So good for him. Proud of him. Overall, he played well. Not necessarily yesterday, but he was also playing through injury, so I get it. And then you've got Devin Bush, who I don't know. I don't know. Just kind of nondescript out there. Not much to say about him. 21% didn't leave much of an impression on me, and nobody else really plays anything all that significant. Okay, now we're going to edge rusher here, and we got 61 snaps for Boye Mafe. We got 41 snaps for Darrell Taylor, so he just had to take on a bigger load because there was nobody else. And Derek Hall gets 19 snaps. So we finally got to a place where Derek Hall was getting a decent number of snaps at the end of the year. For some reason, we took a long time to figure that out. We tried early, and then we gave up, and then we tried again. I don't know. I know he didn't play very well, but what's the plan here? Doesn't feel like there's a plan. And that's it for the edge rushers. So Nwosu getting hurt way back in game number 6 is obviously a huge blow. He only plays about 24% of the snaps in totality, but Boye Mafe, 68% of the snaps for him. I mean, starting next year, that might become pretty close to what we expect of him. But hopefully we're able to find a way to get it back down around like 60%. Establish a rotation that allows us to do that, because this 68% is kind of misleading because he missed a game. It would have been 70% if he didn't miss the Lions game, easily. Darrell Taylor ends up playing about 44% of the snaps. That's pretty reasonable. That's about where he should be, given how limited a player he is. I don't mind that. And Derek Hall ends up playing about 26% of the snaps, which, big picture, I don't mind that. I think that's a pretty good number. I like it. My issue being that it was out of balance. We were not balanced with it. Early on, he played a bunch. Middle of the season, he barely played. And then at the very end of the year, we gave him more snaps again. Like, where's the balance here? Feels like he wasn't able to help out as much as he could have, especially when Nwosu went down. But fundamentally, not bad. We did probably about the best we could given the situation we found ourselves in after Nwosu got hurt. I will admit that. And then you have Frank Clark taking up about 12% of the snaps without doing anything. Tyreek Smith played a tiny bit against the Lions for 1%, and that's it. Okay, cornerback now. We've got Woolen playing 62 snaps, so he came out for a few plays in that game. Witherspoon played almost every play, 69. Mike Jackson, 47. Mike Jackson really took over that third corner role as the year went on. Trey Brown played 17, became a real afterthought, and Kobe Bryant got 2 snaps. I think he got his 2 snaps at safety, though, when Julian Love got hurt. But regardless, 2 snaps. Yeah, makes sense. I'm interested to know why they favor Jackson over Brown, probably tackling, but I'd be interested to hear why they moved towards Jackson and away from Brown as the year went on. Because Trey Brown still had a pretty decent season. But, Woolen, 79%. which, I mean, he missed at least, like, I think he missed 2 games because of injury, and then he got basically benched for 1 game. But still played about 79% of the season, still brought a lot of positive things to the table. I'm seeing a lot of Seahawks fans really starting to bail on Woolen, and I get it. He had a disappointing year, but I think it's very overreactionary. I think people are way overreacting to some flaws that he needs to deal with, and this is going to be a big third year for him. Either he deals with those problems or he doesn't. But if Woolen deals with those problems, we have a very good cornerback, a very good cover cornerback. And then Witherspoon played just under 900 snaps, which is just under 3 quarters. Really good rookie season for Witherspoon. Phenomenal game he played yesterday, by the way. Really, really good. Mike Jackson plays about 40%. Trey Brown plays about 51%. Kobe Bryant, I mean, he did almost all of his playing back in the first 2 weeks, 12%. Artie Burns, about 20, just under 20%. So had to do some mixing and matching in the cornerback area, but I'd say we balanced it out fairly well overall. Nobody played over 1,000 snaps. Again, only because people got hurt and people got benched, etc., etc. But still, not bad. And that gets us to safety. Quandre Diggs plays almost every snap this year. 97.14 after playing 69 snaps against the Cardinals. Julian Love plays all but 3 snaps, 67. Played almost 1,000 snaps on the season, just under 79%. And we get, in totality, about 44% from Jamal Adams and a tiny bit from the other 2 guys. That's really about all there is to report. So in totality, we had Jamal Adams for basically half of what we were hoping this year, which, I mean, look, I know we're gonna have to talk about this later. I know Pete Carroll went in front of the media earlier and was talking about how much he loves and respects Jamal Adams and stuff, and he sounded like a guy who wants to bring him back, but like, I'm serious, guys. There needs to be a serious line in the sand here. You cannot bring back Jamal Adams on that salary. You cannot do it. Even if he does have a fully healthy season next year, what is a fully healthy Jamal Adams worth at this point? It's not worth the money we're paying him. This 44% we got from him this year is probably about as good as it gets, realistically, anyway. Like, he's just in a state physically where it's hard for him to get above that 50%, I think. All right, that's about it for Snap Count Monday for this game and the season. So I don't hate the big picture, but we need to improve our rotations on the defensive line, and we need to just plain get better, more healthier offensive linemen in here. All right, I'll see you guys later. Go Hawks. Let me know what you think. More videos coming later. National championship game starts later. See you guys then.